Hey book friends! So in today's video we are going to play another round of that spinner game that I have been loving to play to pick my TBR, and so stay tuned as I spin the wheel to pick my books for my May TBR. So hi, my name is Angie. Welcome to the channel if you're new here, or welcome back if you have been coming for a while. It has been so much fun to play this game, and so I did for this past April, and I had a fun stack of books. I'll link the video up above if you haven't seen it. But how did I do for April? Okay. I did okay, and really it came down to the fact that I thought I was going to be able to read more books because my husband had surgery mid-month and we took time off from homeschool, all these things, and the surgery went well. And thank you all who have been thinking about us and sending messages, and I have really appreciated it. He did really well. He is still recovering, but oh my gosh, it couldn't have gone better. So that is wonderful news. But as for my book reading, it didn't get done very much. I do have my April wrap up coming out soon. I really loved some books. I didn't so much love some other books, but stay tuned for that video. But as for my plans for May, I have a couple things on my radar, mostly like readathons and different things. And so I link all these below. I am thinking about participating in Jackie's Thrill to the Weekend, and that's the end of May. And so I'll let you know if any of my picks fulfilled that prompt. But then I'm also thinking about participating in the 48-hour Readathon that Becca's hosting. It's based on her Bookopoly game, and so I'll link that video because she just made the announcement for that, and I was like, oh, I really want to do that, and so I'm really excited for that. So I'll let you know the book I'm picking for that as well. And then the third thing that I'm holding a lot looser is the historical fiction readathon that Katie's hosting from Books and Things. I've always enjoyed her channel. She's just so down to earth and just so relatable, and I love her book recommendations. So I'll link that announcement below as well, wherever, and so you can check that out if you are a historical fiction reader. So anyway, all those things going on in May, but I'm still going to spin the wheel and see what is picked for me, and hopefully some of those books fulfill the prompts for these readathons that I'm thinking about participating in. We'll see, but let's get started. So actually, before I start spinning the wheel, which is clearly my favorite part, I will show you all the books and the options. So my first three books are historical fiction books. So I have When the World Was Ours, A Lawn Pedal to the Sea, and Beneath a Scarlet Sky. And then my next group of books is thriller and mysteries. So I have The Murder at the Vicarage, Agatha Christie, and then I have The Perfect Wife and Missing. And then for my fantasy books, I have Shadow and Bone, Royal Assassin, and The Alloy of Law. And then I also have my BookTubers favorites book. So I have a whole video where I picked some favorites from last year of my favorite booktubers. I have Crying in H Mart, Peril at End House, and Mask of Mirrors. And then I have a recently purchased category for the last three. So I have Ruin of Kings, The Darkness, and Shiver. So I am so excited for all of these books. I could read any of them, and I am trying to decide how many I am going to pick for the month. I think I'm going to pick, I was going to say 8, but I think I'll do 7 just because I've been reading about 5 books, so 7 gives me some options. So I will pick 7 books. So now I can get my phone out. Okay, so for the first spin, I'll run it there. What's it gonna be? 7. Book 7 is this book, Shadow and Bone. So that's exciting. I have been wanting to pick up more Leigh Bardugo, which if you saw my favorite fantasy books, I talk a little bit more about that. Okay, next spin. Number 2 is A Lawn Pedal to the Sea, which I'm excited because I think I need to double check with my friend. I think we're going to buddy read this book. So I'm glad this is on here because we might be buddy reading. I'm not sure. Okay. Next spin. Spin number 3. 9 is Alloy of Law. So that's another fantasy book. So this is the second era Mistborn. This is the first book in the second era Mistborn series. So I'm excited about that. Okay. 4th spin. This is so much fun. I just really like this, guys. It's very simple. I'm very entertained by simple things. Number 5. So that is The Perfect Wife, which I don't have this up here, but this is actually, I really wanted this to come up. This is the Buddy Read pick for Jacqueline's Patreon channel, which I'm a part of, so I'm excited for that. Okay. So this is the fifth spin. All right. This is fun. Okay, number 12. Number 12. Mask of Mirrors. Oh my gosh, all of these are fantasy books. I'm surprised. I didn't have very many on here, but I've been wanting to read this. This was a favorite of Angela from Literature Science Alliance from last year. So it's on my list to read. So I really want to get to it. So Mask of Mirrors, it was number 5. Number 6, we're almost there. Let's see what this one is. 8. All the fantasy books. Oh my gosh. So this is Royal Assassin, which I haven't picked up yet, but I was planning on making a book depository order. So now I definitely will. So this is the second book in the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. I loved the first one, so I'm excited. Okay, last spin. I don't think there's any fantasy left on here. I shouldn't say that because maybe there is. Okay, number 11 is Peril at End House. And so this is an Agatha Christie. It's a favorite of Chantel from Chantel Reads All Day, which I did the Agatha Christie weekend readathon with her. And so I'm excited to pick this up so I can chat with her about it. But that's my 7th book. Okay, so that was lots of good books. And I realized I don't have a lot of them. A lot of them I will be getting from the library. So this is the stack I have for this current round. But let me go through the books as they were chosen. So the first one that was chosen was Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. And so I have read Six of Crows. That's the only thing I've read from her. And I think this is earlier in the timeline of that world. So this is about an orphan girl, Alana, I think she is. She's part of this group of soldiers who goes into this woods, the Shadow Fold that is like unnatural and full of lots of different beasts and scary things. And I guess her group was attacked, and it says she unleashes a dormant magic that she didn't know she has. And so then she becomes more of a person of interest, and I think she is then trained up in her magic. She is trained as a Grisha, something like that. So this is the first book in 3 books, but I think this first trilogy, the Shadow and Bone trilogy, it happens before the Six of Crows. I'm not sure. I wanted to reread that anyway, so I probably will. So I'm excited to pick this up. So that's the first book. I think the second spin was this one, A Long Petal of the Sea, and I love this cover. It's all very shiny. And this is a historical fiction. It's by Isabel Allende, and it is about the Spanish Civil War, if I remember right. Yes, it's about 2 people who are escaping over the mountains into Sweden or something like that to get away from Franco, the dictator, and one of the people is Rosner, a pregnant young widow, and she gets involved with Victor, who is actually the brother of her dead husband. And he was an army doctor or something like that. And so they both escape and they get on this boat that is destined for, I think, Chile or Argentina or something like that. And they kind of start a life together, but I'm not sure if it's a happy life. And I think they want to be coming back to Spain at some point. So I really wanted to read another book about the Spanish Civil War. I really like The Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys. So yes, historical fiction. So this will count for participating in the historical fiction readathon. So good, I'm glad I at least got one historical fiction on here because it seemed like it was all fantasy. So the other book that I own, I don't know where I am in my spins, but is The Alloy of Law by Brandon Sanderson. So this is the first book in the second era Mistborn series. It is significantly smaller than the other books that I own, but I loved the Mistborn trilogy. I loved it. And so I'm so excited to kind of continue with this, even though I've heard it is quite different from the first trilogy. It is kind of almost a Western in setting, and it's set like 300 years after the original, but the magic is the same in this world, though I think it is not as common or something like that. And so it's the magic of allomancy, where the person who has that ability ingests metals and they can use the metals to power their magic, basically, and somebody who can use all the metals is a Mistborn. And that was what we followed in the first book. And we followed Vin and Kelsier and Elend, and I loved it so much. So I'm curious where this is going to go. I really don't know much more than that, but I have been wanting to pick it back up. So I'm excited that came up. So there was 2 other fantasy books that came up that I just don't own yet. Royal Assassin. So that's the second book in the Farseer trilogy that's written by Robin Hobb. Assassin's Apprentice was the first one. I read that last month. Yeah, March. And I loved it. I loved it so much. It was just, the characters were so good. So that book, the first book, is about Fitz, who is the royal bastard. So he's the son of the king in waiting, and he gets kind of dropped off at the palace, and he is raised by the stable master, and he is treated in some not very kind ways because he's important because he's royal blood, but yet he's a bastard, so he's not as important as the other royals. And it was just so good. It was so good. The character work was fantastic. You just really felt for this boy because he was 6 years old when the story started, and then I think 16 when it ended, and lots of things happened at the end of that first book that I really want to know what's going to happen next. So I'm going to pick up the second book. So excited. So definitely going to read that. And then the other fantasy that came up was Mask of Mirrors. And this is recommended by Angela, like I said, from Literature Science Alliance. I love her channel. I really wanted to check this out. I'm not 100% sure what this book is about. I just looked it up on Amazon real quick, and it sounds like it is about this young girl who is a thief who has lost her sister or is trying to save her sister and goes into the city. And the city is like a city of dreams or something like that. And so she's trying to like fool people, but there's other things going on where other people are trying to fool everybody else. And it is said to have a corrupt nightmare magic that's beginning to weave its way through the city of dreams. So that just sounds interesting. Angela liked it. I tend to like a lot of what she reads, though she is very much deeper into fantasy and sci-fi than I am, but I often love the books she reads. So I'm excited to give that one a try. Another book that was selected is The Perfect Wife by J.P. Delaney. And like I said, it's the buddy read for Jacqueline's channel. I've never read a J.P. Delaney before. I'm excited about this one. I've heard good things about it. It's about this woman who wakes up kind of from a coma or something like that and doesn't recognize anybody in her life. She doesn't recognize her husband. She doesn't know what happened. He told her that she got in like some serious accident like 5 years ago, and by some like miracle of science she was brought back, but I'm not sure what that miracle is or what his role in it is, but I'm sure she's going to figure it out. Sounds like a little bit of a psychological thriller, which I'm trying to stay away from, but I hope it's more like domestic thriller, less psychological, but we'll see. I'll probably just DNF it if I don't like it, but I'm excited to give it a try, and it's always more fun to read with other people. So that is The Perfect Wife. So the last book on my list is the Agatha Christie book that is recommended by Chantel, and that's Peril at End House. So this one sounds really good. So it's a Perot novel. I think it's number 8 in his series, and it is about this girl who is kind of having a lot of accidents or brushes with death, if you will, like her brakes fail or a boulder almost lands on her, and then she doesn't know what's going on, and then something happens like where like she finds a bullet hole through her hat or something. So then Hercule Poirot gets involved, and he's like, no, someone is after you and we need to get to the bottom of it. So that's what that one is about, and it just sounds really good. But I'll see if I'm going to pick that up because I really want to know why Chantel likes it so much. But there's another Agatha Christie book that I want to pick up, only because of Becca's Bookopoly Readathon, because she rolled the first 2 rolls in her announcement video, and the rolls were under 300 pages and a gods prompt, which I think mostly means fantasy, but she was like, you can use anything with like religion and stuff like that. So I have another Agatha Christie that I've been wanting to pick up. It's the first Miss Marple book, and it has a lot to do with the church, and it is less than 300 pages, I think. Oh, I didn't even check that. Oh, just barely. 285 pages. So this would cover both of those prompts, which would just be kind of fun. I don't know exactly how well I'm going to follow that 48-hour readathon, but it's fun to have like the first book chosen. So this one sounds really good. It's about this man who was really disliked in this small town, and like the priest made like a careless comment about how terrible he was and how everybody wishes he was dead or something like that, and then he turns up dead, right? And then they have to get to the bottom of how he died, and Miss Marple is called in, and I'm just curious about the Miss Marple versus Perot distinctions in the Agatha Christie books, so I want to pick this one up as well. So we'll see which one I do end up picking up, or maybe I'll do both. I really don't know. These are just some wonderful options for the month of May, and I have so much fun with this game. I enjoy the randomness of it, and it always kind of gets me about what I want or about what I was thinking about for the month anyway. And so this month has given me kind of a fantasy heavy month, which is going to be fun with some thrillers thrown in there, historical fiction thrown in there. So I hope you liked this spinner game. Let me know if you have read any of these books or if you think I would like any of these books, and let me know down below. I would love to hear that. And otherwise, if you like this game, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you want to, and otherwise I will see you in the next book video. Okay guys, take care.